Welcome to Sober Solutions. We are a weekly recovery podcast not affiliated with any particular 12-step or recovery program. However, you may hear us mention them. My name is Jason, and I'm an alcoholic and addict.
My name is Chris, and I'm an alcoholic and addict.
My name is Ben. I'm an alcoholic and addict.
And welcome back to Sober Solutions Podcast. Tonight is episode 42. And I am very excited about this episode because we have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Anthony M. from Philadelphia, who just happens to be my sponsee. Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
Hey, Jason, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's really, really great to have you on the program. We're very excited to hear a little bit more about you.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
So right now I live a pretty good life. I have a partner of 16 years. We have a wonderful little poodle named Casey. So overall good. I mean, I have a good job that I really love. I work in sales, selling health and beauty products. So life overall is pretty good for me. I recently celebrated 1 year of sobriety from alcohol. Very happy about that. That's it's been definitely a challenging year trying to, work through that whole process. Some of my back history, I guess, is, I started drinking, I guess, at an early age, 14, 15 years old. It was pretty normal where I grew up. Everybody kind of did that. So it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. But for me, as it developed through the years, what I found is that alcohol wasn't, it wasn't getting me where I wanted to go in life. It was kind of holding me back. It was more of a hurdle than anything else. So that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to, try the sobriety thing out and see how I feel. So it's something that, as I said, I've been sober now for a year, and it's been really great. I just feel great. I feel so much better. I'm not as held back in so many different ways. I don't feel, the physical burden of waking up with a hangover or worrying about like what I did last night, what I said. So it just feels really great to be able to, I don't know, just live like a better lifestyle, live in a lifestyle of gratitude and happiness and all that.
So what is it that made you think to yourself the first time, wow, I need to stop. I need to start changing something?
I think it was a pretty simple thing. It was just that I wasn't happy with the life that I was living. Overall, it wasn't like I had these instances where I felt like, one of the things I struggle with on this journey is that sometimes I compare myself to what other people's stories are. When they feel like they hit rock bottom, they've lost everything. They've gotten to this point where, I don't know, they hit rock bottom. And I've never felt like that. I felt like my life has always been pretty good. It's from the outside looking in, it looks like just even better. It's gotten better. I've been successful in my career. I've been able to maintain a long-term relationship. I have great friends, a great network of people in my life. But, there was always something there kind of holding me back from achieving that next level of happiness, and just kind of, there is a sadness to it when you are over consuming alcohol, maybe, where, there's more, and that there's more out there and more that you want to achieve in your life. So yeah, I just got to the point where, and this isn't anything new. Sobriety is something that I have kind of dipped my toe in for several years. I remember the first time when I tried to get sober was over 10 years ago. And I was able to get sober back then. I got sober for a whole year and I stopped drinking. And then I got to a point where I felt, oh, I'm good. I'm cured. I can handle this. I can do it. So I picked up drinks again, and then it kind of got to the same patterns where, it wasn't like I was getting out of control, driving drunk or crazy things like that. But I was just got into the same habits of drinking often and then not, worrying about like what I was doing with my life, worrying what situations I was getting myself into. So, throughout those past 10 years, I've been off and on, where I've been drinking a lot here, and then maybe there are periods where I'm not drinking at all, where I take a couple months off. I always kind of joke that I used it like an alcohol and sobriety as like a weight loss plan, where I would go for a couple months of being sober, like lose weight, feel like going to the gym, getting myself in a good place, and then kind of fall off that and get back into those old habits and like gain a few pounds and then not feel good about myself and kind of teeter back into it. I've come to realize that's not really healthy. It's more about um, the the physiological, I guess, side effects of the whole thing and what that puts on your body. Um, I this last time in January of last year when I decided to try sobriety again, it was I changed the way I did it. I wasn't thinking about, oh, I need to just lose a couple pounds. I'm like, I need to change my whole way of thinking and change my life. And, I saw a therapist for the first time in my life. I went and I went to AA meetings and started working in the program, meeting great people that kind of helped me. I really wanted to understand, what are the reasons why I'm drinking?
So you mentioned that you're doing some things differently this time, going to meetings, really kind of taking on sobriety in a different way. What else for you has changed? Is it, consequences are different, or, just your mentality towards it is different? Or what would you identify as this is what I had to do different than any other time that I've tried to stop drinking before?
Yeah, I had to really think about it as a lifestyle change, I guess. Um, you know, one of the things there were a couple things that were really helpful to me. One of them was living in the moment, the current moment, because I've always been really big into thinking about the past and what could have been, the coulda, woulda, shoulda, and thinking about the future about like, oh, what am I going to do in 2 years? Am I not going to be drinking when I go on vacation? So that was one thing. And really just reevaluate my priorities, going through the program, you just kind of see it's like doing an analysis of yourself and your personality and understanding all your flaws, all your shortcomings, all the things you resent, and why those things may lead you to abuse alcohol, abuse drugs, what have you, and really having to face all that and really take a look in the mirror and understand, you know, these are the things that are affect my life and how I react, and I have to make a conscious effort to change them. And so that's a lot of what I've done is do that, understand those behaviors, and be able to change my path when I need to. And then also really living in gratitude. That's been, I would say, the key for me. Really trying to focus on the things that I'm grateful for every day, and that really, I mean, it's important, especially in those days where you're really feeling down, having negative thoughts. That's when you really need to be thinking about your gratitude. When you're faced with the hardest things in life, when you have to cross those bridges, I mean, that's when you're most susceptible to kind of relapse and go for fall out of your sobriety. So it's important to really get grounded in things that you're grateful for, because no matter what, you always have a choice and you always have a path you can take. So it's important to really know that and recognize that and be able to identify that and have it top of mind.
I think I'm listening to your story. One thing that I really like and you don't hear very often is kind of what you were saying in the beginning is, you didn't hit that rock bottom. And everyone that we have on this show, including myself, talks about how they basically hit a rock bottom and how they had to get sober, whether it was a mental, physical, a legal reason. And, if I could push a message onto people, it would be that you can stop drinking, you can live a, recovery lifestyle and better your life. You were talking about how you got better at your job with sales. You got better. You talked a lot about the physical attributes and how that helped. And it's something we definitely don't hear a lot. So I guess, and I know you mentioned it briefly, did you ever have, I guess, any outside influences? I know that you didn't hit that rock bottom, but did you ever have like family members saying you should get help? Or was it really just you thought, it wasn't bettering my life at that time?
Yeah, it's interesting. Saying that I haven't hit rock bottom, it's kind of I guess that's questionable because I think rock bottom looks different for everybody. And I didn't hit a rock bottom where, I had no other choice and I needed to do this, or, I was going to go to jail, or, I was going to lose my whole life, everybody around me. I didn't get faced with those choices. It was more of me not wanting to live in this mental state where I wasn't. I mean, it was really about happiness for me. Like I wasn't happy. Um, and alcohol is a depressant, so it doesn't help out in that instance. But yeah, I mean, it was that was my rock bottom because I continue living this life surrounded by people that are not great for me, that don't have my best interests in mind, being depressed or sad and miserable, and that's not a good existence to live. So for me, that is rock bottom because I want to be happy. I want to live that life. But you mentioned like my job. Yeah, that was another thing. It was like my job performance just improved like overnight. The things that I'm able to do and go after, and I'm not like all bogged down in my own mental and kind of yeah, it's really mental. I mean, we all live on our own mental cage that we're fighting, and you have to be able to um, put up a good fight, especially when you're in those types of situations. And then you also asked about people wanting me to go get help, and that wasn't something that I was faced with. And compared to other people in my life, family, friends, people viewed me as having my stuff together more than other people. So they never like said, "Oh, Anthony, you need to go and get help." No, it's always the other person next to me that probably needed to get it more in other people's eyes. That's what people say when I've told them like, "Oh yeah, I'm sober," and they're like, "Oh, why you out of everybody? I feel like this such and such person that's in your family needs to go do that, not you." Because I've been able to put forth a good image of how I'm living my life. But yeah, it was really me. You do get comments from the people that are closest to you every now and again where it's like they'll throw it in your face like, "Oh yeah, have another drink," or whatever, and that kind of weighs on you a little bit. But it wasn't like, "Oh, you need to go do this." It was definitely something I wanted to do for myself. And I mean, I think that's something else that's helpful with my program is that I want this more than anything. It isn't that I'm being forced to do it. People are pressuring me to do it. I want to do it. And I want to make those changes. So I think it definitely has a different impact on what you do.
That's definitely inspiring. One thing that you mentioned that I resonate with a lot is you were worried about a vacation in 2 years that you might not be able to drink at. And, you know, I'd say through the first 6 months of this podcast, I was very open about in the future not knowing if I would drink or not. My, I even hate using this term, but my drug of choice was opiates. And I would still say that I never really had a drinking problem. Not that I can't develop one, but I was so consumed with thinking about the future. And honestly, about one time a year, Christmas Eve, when my family drinks. And ironically, my wife had COVID and I missed Christmas Eve this year, but it's just amazing that, you think about these things that are so far out that have no effect on you today, or I should say that have no effect on me today. And I definitely resonated with that. I guess, has your mind kind of changed in your thought process through this last year about thinking, projecting out, a year, 2 years, whatever it is in the future?
Yeah, definitely. It's changed somewhat, but it's not perfect either. I do. I try to live in that moment. I say, listen, I am not promising that I'm going to be sober for the rest of my life. I'm going to be sober today. I'm going to be sober tomorrow. I know that. But outside of that, I don't know. I mean, I can't predict the future and I don't know what's going to come. And I'm not putting that pressure on myself either. I have to live in this moment right now. But I still, I understand what you're talking about with like Christmas Eve. I haven't had any real cravings to drink at all, except like New Year's Eve came around. I'm celebrating with friends, very low key. People are drinking champagne and doing all their stuff. And, I kind of thought to myself, damn, it would be really nice to just be able to drink and like kind of let loose and enjoy myself a little bit. But then you think back to like the domino effect of what will happen from that. And that's what I think I'm really grounded in, the fact that I know my personality and I am all in or I'm all out. There's no in between, no middle ground with me. So I know if I am drinking, like I'm going hard, I'm going in, and it's not going to be, talk about progression. It'll progress, and I know where I'll be. I've walked that a few times, so I know. But I still do. I don't. I try not to worry about the vacations in the future. Like for instance, I was thinking about like, oh, I'm going to get married. I'm like, what am I gonna? I was just taking a walk and thinking through this. I'm like, I'm gonna get married, so I'm not gonna drink at my wedding. I'm not gonna have champagne. Maybe I could just have one glass. Maybe I could just drink that day. And I'm going through all these stupid scenarios in my head, and I'm like, why? I mean, what is alcohol gonna provide on that day other than make me act like an asshole, maybe have a hangover, get out of control, feel sick? I mean, I don't need it to have a good time. I understand that. So it's like, oh no, I could just, drink some sparkling water instead for a toast or something. It's funny because, when I was drinking, I was always the life of the party, I must say. And even sober, I'm still the life of the party compared to a lot of other people. So I've proven that part, I guess. So I'm not worried about it anymore. I don't have that pressure of I need to go out and have fun and be the life of the party with anybody. Like I'm going out, I'm doing me. I'm happy. I feel more confident in what I'm doing and the people that I'm with. Like I don't have that pressure. I'm just, trying to be a good person and trying to live a good life.
Anthony, I think that's so true. Just knowing you for the time that I have, you really do show up as your authentic self. You said that you were the life of the party then, and you're the life of the party now. And I think that's wonderful. And, that's something that I reflect on a lot too, is that I didn't get sober to be boring. I didn't get sober to be miserable. I got sober to live a life. And now I'm living a life beyond my wildest dreams. And I know that's so cliche to say, but it's so true at the same time. You know, I want to touch on something. You mentioned that you would always use sobriety and then go back out and then sobriety as like a health phase, to kind of get back into shape or, feel healthier. But now, as I understand it, you're doing a health challenge right now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, funny you bring that up. I am I am doing a little bit of a challenge. This is one of the things that comes with sobriety, I think, is that you have the confidence and um I don't know, I guess the mental clarity to want to do other things. And this is something I would never imagine doing a year or 2 years ago. But I'm doing a push-up challenge in January. So it's over 10 days. It ends in 2 days actually. So I'm raising. My goal is to reach 1,000 push-ups over those 10 days. I'm working very hard to shatter those goals and collecting donations. And people are sponsoring me per push-up, etc. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm doing this, and it's going to benefit. I picked 4 different charities because got to go big or go home, right? So I'm benefiting the World Food Program USA, which they're doing a lot of great work all over the world to feed people that are facing hunger, especially places like southern Madagascar, where they're on the brink of a famine right now. Um, the ASPCA, because we love our furry friends, St. Jude's Research Hospital, which is a great charity, which I've donated to in the past, but I really just wanted to try to bring some more financial support there. And then lastly, also the Mazzoni Center in Philadelphia, because they do a lot of great work for the LGBTQ community with healthcare and behavioral health. And I think they're just a wonderful organization. So I'm doing that. And I would have never, I would have never even thought outside of, I need to go to the bar tonight and have a good time and do this. No, now I'm kind of thinking bigger than that, thinking outside of just myself and what's going to benefit myself. So I am very sore, and I haven't done this many push-ups ever in my life.
How
But I
many
think
how many have you done so far?
so I started earlier in the month, just trying to like get myself up. I think total I'm over like 1100, and then for the actual challenge itself, right now I'm at 740. So I still have
That's
a few
amazing.
hundred. Thank you. A few hundred more to go if I want to get to that goal. So I am looking forward to it, though.
And you've had many people donate to the challenge so far. How much have you collected so far?
I've collected uh just over $2,700. So I'm really excited. People have been so generous and kind, and just you do something like this and it really renews your faith in the world, and people are really out there, and you got to choose kindness. And people do. It's awesome.
I got to know Jason through rehab, and his program now, and kind of just his commitment towards recovery is very inspiring to me. I sometimes get jealous of how he's able to dive in, and everyone's program's different. I have a couple kids at home, but anyway, whenever I'm down, I definitely give him a call. So I'm interested in the inside scoop of Jason as a sponsor. Can you kind of walk us through, I guess, obvious, I would say he's probably an amazing sponsor, but kind of walk us through his process, techniques, anything you can touch on for the viewers, because we really don't talk about that too much.
Yeah, well, you definitely hit the nail on the head. He is an amazing sponsor. I'll just kind of set it up like this. I was in a meeting and he was chairing it. This was very early in last year in my sobriety, and I was early in the program. I wanted to find a sponsor, and he's just like has so much energy, and he was somebody that looked like he had his shit together, like so much. He was so buttoned up. He was so just like it seemed like a brilliant soul. So I remember we connected after that meeting, and he was like, I can help connect you to a sponsor. Or I'm like, what about you? Like, so, that we just kind of hit it off. But, in the program itself, he, he is really, I would say, I don't have anything to compare it to because I've never worked with another sponsor before. But I'm sure, he just does an incredible job because he's very thorough. He's not, trying to think. You know, he he's very smart too. So when you're asking questions, if you're reading through like the book, he knows the answers. He has a perspective on it. So it's really exciting. Um, yeah, no, but he's just been wonderful. So supportive. He knows his stuff. He's also he's hard. He's not a softie for sure. I mean, he challenges you. He pushed me through the whole program. He wasn't just going to let me like kind of phone it in. I had to really push myself in times when I didn't want to, and I didn't want to dig that deep and get to that level, but he made me do it, even more than I think today that I needed to. But that's besides the point. I'm glad that I did, regardless. And so yeah, it's been a great journey. I mean, he is just as awesome as you would think he is to work with that closely.
Early in the call today, Jason mentioned that you guys do monthly sober sibling calls. Maybe can you touch on that? Because a lot of our viewers are early in their recovery stage, so they might not know what these things are.
Yeah, so I mean, really, it's just I mean, what it is to me is really about building a support network, and finding other people that you can rely on and call on, and whether it's just people that you're meeting or people that we all have a common connection, which is Jason. Um, but it's been really great because you have those people when, say, for instance, you are having a weak moment and you need somebody to call, and maybe your sponsor isn't there, or isn't available. We all have crazy lives, so you have four other people that you can call in an instant. Or we're on a text chain every day, so we're talking um, every day, and we're able to touch base and just check in, see how people are doing, through the high moments, the low moments, at all. It's really great to just have that support. And that's really what it is. I mean, I think early in the program, it's important to um, build build out that support network early, and not just with the if I was going to give newcomers advice, I think it's easy to just identify with the newcomers in the program and try to attach yourself and kind of be there for each other, which I think is great, and that's a great element. But you also have to connect with those people that have been sober for a long time if you want to be successful, because they have a lot of that life experience with it, knowledge, and more under their belt, and they can really give you a lot of guidance and a lot of support that you're not, and think about things that you're not even thinking about yet. So I mean, it really is. It's just about building a great support network and having people there for you.
Well, Anthony, I just want to acknowledge you for all of the work that you've done over this last year. As I've said to you, and I will say again, I've been here along the journey with you just for the ride. You have done all of the work, and I am so proud of you for it. You have grown so much over this last year, probably in ways that you probably don't even realize yet. But the promises have really started showing up in your life, and I know that you're going to be an amazing sponsor one of these days. So I just want to really congratulate you. So, as you think about, these people who are early on in their recovery, because that's who we like to focus on this show. What's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Um, I think you have to trust the process, follow the process. It's there for a reason, and you do. When they say surrender yourself to the program, you really do have to do that. Um, and the other thing, if I had to do like bullet point B, is that um, take what you need and leave the rest, because you do have to surrender yourself to the process, but not everything's going to work for everybody. So you just have to make sure that take what you need and leave the rest.
Awesome, Anthony. Well, again, thank you so much for your time tonight. It was really great to have you on the show. And
Thank
we'll
you.
be seeing you for your 1 year celebration tomorrow.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, I am so proud of that kid. He came on and there was hesitation at first. There really was, and he acknowledged that. But he said that I pushed him through the program, and I just want to reiterate that it's him that did all the work. I was there to guide him, and I was there to point things out to him. And at times I was there to challenge him to his old thinking, but he did all the work. He really got there, and he's really just skyrocketing in his recovery.
Yeah, you could tell that Anthony really wanted it. I mean, he wanted it without, and obviously everyone's rock bottom is different, and I even hate that term. I've said it before, but to recognize that your life isn't going as well as it could without alcohol is just so emotionally mature, and then actually putting in the immense amount of work that it takes to get to where he is very impressive.
Absolutely. When he said, I want this, that is just the true indicator of what solid recovery is really about. It just changes your whole mentality around how you recover. I know that happened for me. For the first 10 years that I was trying to quote unquote get sober, because I was never working a program, I was never doing the steps, I didn't want it for me. I wanted it for all the other things like a job or a partner or my parents. But the moment that I said I want this for me, that's when everything changed for me, you know? And the other thing that he mentioned is when he gets married. Um, I think I shared this with him before, but I remember distinctly, and as he was telling that story, I was sitting at the table during my wedding and the champagne came around and everyone was drinking around me. And at that time I was quote unquote sober, but I still snuck a glass of champagne. And I got halfway through it and I was like, "Ugh, I'm supposed to not be drinking. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing." And it just, sobriety ruins your drinking, and for good cause, because that just led me down all of these loopholes and well, if I do this but I don't do that, then am I still sober? And now having that commitment to it has changed everything. And I've gone through weddings and birthdays and to clubs and to parties and to all these different things without drinking now, and it's so different because I don't want to. It's not that I don't need to, it's I don't want to, because it's not going to add anything to it. He said it himself. He's the life of the party now when he's sober, and I just think that really sums up his character.
Yeah, it's amazing how lately when I go to these events, whether big or small, I have so much fun and I'm not drinking because I'm present. I'm able to spend time with kids, have conversations. I'm not worried about, hey, where's my next glass of wine coming or this, that, and the other. And there's a big trend, at least for the people that I follow. It's called the 30-day challenge, and it's remove alcohol from your life for 30 days and journal during that process and see if your life becomes better. And all of the people that I follow, they're all mentioning all these great things. And I wish we can communicate that to younger people, to not that everyone has to be sober, but that your life can get better without alcohol, and you can be more present, you can be healthier, you can do all these great things. And we did this episode on the what ifs recently. And, I was thinking after that episode, like, what if I went through 4 years of college without drinking? What would my life have been like there? And I know it's not healthy to, really dive into that. But, if I were to really communicate to some younger people, I would just challenge them, like, is alcohol helping you right now?
It's a really big question and a really important one because, man, if I had to answer that question, it never really helped me, except in a way to start ruining my life, act stupid and do dumb things. And, it's a huge question. It's a huge question. Well, I think that's a great place to stop. I know you're just recovering from COVID, and I really want to say thanks again, Anthony. And as always, each and every one of our episodes is dedicated to the still sick and suffering alcoholic and addict, especially the individual who's going to pick up for the first time tonight. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
We appreciate your liking and subscribing to our podcast. If you liked what you heard today and would like to support our podcast, feel free to Venmo $1 to our virtual basket at Sober Solutions Podcast. We want to hear from you too. If you have a comment, question, topic, or would like to come on the show, find us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at Sober Solutions Podcast. Or you can shoot us an email to sobersolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And if you like what you've heard, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show.